So you've been at your campaign for a while, and your characters have grown in fame and stature, and, well, now they just have too many requests for help for what they're able to fulfill. That means it's time to get into the small business game and get them some hirelings. So just what are hirelings? Well, it depends on what game you're playing as to what they're called, but hirelings are basically people in the real world that your group can hire to help them out. As anybody who has a small business knows, you're going to need an accountant, you're going to need a lawyer. Maybe your players need a healer on call 24 hours a day, just in case they come back with injured or potentially dying party members. Maybe you have to give a retainer to that blacksmith to make sure he'll fix your armor faster than he will anybody else's. Some of this can come when players start acquiring property. Do they have their own house? Do they have their own keep? Well, you're going to need a butler to keep all the riffraff out of your door. You're probably going to want someone to clean up and someone to cook for you. Maybe your own stable boy to make sure that the horses are in good shape. I mean, you don't want to do that work yourself. Hirelings come in various shapes and forms. Some are more practical. Maybe you have the local historian on retainer. Perhaps you have an up-and-coming young wizard who's moonlighting to make a few extra gold, and he can tell you all about what those magical items are, or maybe he can translate that suspicious-looking tome that's made out of human flesh, written in blood. Once you start getting yourself a regular stable of helpers, whether they're domestic or people you have on contract, this is excellent. What it means is that you can keep increasing the amount of treasure your players find on various quests, or perhaps the gold fee that they're paid to rescue people or prevent town invasions or whatnot. And you don't have to worry about them getting overinflated because they know, okay, we earned 500 gold, but next month we have to pay out 200. This allows you, the DM, to manage exactly how much that gold ends up being worth in this world. Hirelings can be based wherever the players are based, and you can also get hirelings to accompany them on their various adventures. Perhaps you still want somebody to cook for you when you're out, because Bob the dwarf just has terrible taste in cooking. Or maybe you need someone to guard the horses while you go into the dungeon. And maybe you need some people to keep an eye on all that loot while you're down there fighting a dragon to gain even more. These are all pretty realistic applications for hirelings. House management, taking on tasks that players don't want to, and even being the drivers, whether it being a carriage driver or perhaps a ship captain. These are all pretty realistic expectations in a fantasy world. The other kind of hireling, which in some games will have different names like helper or sidekick, are non-player characters that go with you on the quests. These are often very handy if you have a group that's made up of a bunch of goofballs who don't always show up to games when they should. Or maybe everyone wanted to be a fighter and that left you short on heals. These type of hirelings can often have skill sets that the group is missing. For example, what if you don't have any rogues to unlock doors or safely open chests? Could be a pretty dangerous situation for your characters, and maybe there's some item that they need right away in a dungeon. Having a rogue go with you, even if that rogue doesn't engage in combat, helps a lot. Other often overlooked needs are healing, or some kind of a ranger, pathfinder, or maybe even a druid to find your way through a very difficult to navigate forest. And maybe you even need a tank. Many systems, Pathfinder, Dungeons & Dragons, they have pre-made rules for hirelings. And usually that will involve them leveling up when your character's level, but being a little bit under a player character. You want to make sure that the players themselves stand out and shine. They'll have reduced spell sets. They'll have reduced abilities. For example, you won't have all the flexibility that a fighter normally would. It's pretty much just attack or defend, and they'll be able to take some kind of help action to help out the party. And as that hireling increases its level with your party, they'll get more abilities. You'll get increased bonus rolls from their helping. They'll be able to soak up more damage, or perhaps they'll start gaining more spells that are useful. It's usually best to just let players control these hirelings and leave it with the simple actions so they don't have to think very much. Oftentimes, you can make these hirelings kind of weak and that they want to stay in the background, only taking actions when necessary. Otherwise, they take whatever sort of evasion methods that are available in your game. So when should players start getting their own hirelings? Pretty much right away. I mean, once they finish the first couple of levels of their journey, they're going to start needing people. Hey, everybody's got that younger brother who needs a job, or perhaps you just find someone on a town bulletin board, or, your mom's uncle's niece's third daughter. She just needs a little bit of work while she's working through some things. Hirelings can add to your game, help your players fill in deficits in their holes, get rid of all that extra cash, and make the world feel more alive. So what do you think about hirelings? What are your favorite kind to hire? What do you think they add to the game? If you could, click like down below. And if you didn't like it, give it a dislike. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back with more gaming tips soon. And hey, if you're in the market for a horror campaign, check out Empire of the Undying Sun. That's my campaign. It's going to be crowdfunding a little bit later this year. Click a link in the description to go to the website and learn more about it.